We all know that carrying too much extra weight on your body is not good for your health. Being overweight or obese increases your risk for a number of negative health outcomes, including type 2 diabetes, some forms of cancer, heart disease, osteoarthritis, and obstructive sleep apnea. Weight loss is one of those things that seems very simple on the surface, yet it can actually be quite complex. In this video, I'm going to discuss a few of the biological factors that can actually make weight loss really difficult. I'm going to talk about the macronutrient composition of diet, i.e. your macros, which impact satiation, hormones, metabolism, and so much more. The effects of aging, which is something that we all have to face if we're lucky, and the effects of prescription drugs that are so common that you or someone you know is likely to be taking at least one of them. All right, let's start by looking at macros. The proportions of macronutrients in your diet and the quality of those macronutrients affects satiation. We have 3 macros: protein, fat, and carbs. They all provide energy, but they each affect your body in unique ways. Protein and fat tend to be more satisfying than carbs, so if you have a higher proportion of these 2 macronutrients relative to carb in your diet, then you're going to feel more satisfied with less calories. This is why it is best to go for something rich in protein and good fat when you feel hungry, and that includes the snacks that you choose. Nuts plus fruit is more satisfying than fruit alone. For the same reason, cheese plus crackers is more satisfying than crackers by themselves. When we eat protein, a barrage of satiety hormones get sent to our brain to tell us that we have had enough to eat and that it's time to put the fork down. Among these hormones, we have gastric inhibitory polypeptide, glucagon-like peptide 1, cholecystokinin, and peptide tyrosine. Yes, the tyrosine is in there twice. Carbs don't have this same effect. Instead, what they do is induce us to keep eating and eating and eating. You know the feeling. Now, let's take a look at the research that has been done to show how people eating the same amount of calories can have different weight loss results, all depending on the ratio of fat to protein to carbs in their diet. In a study by Pereira and colleagues, it was found that people who decreased their calorie intake by having less carbs versus having less fat had an easier time losing weight and burning calories. The low carb group was also less hungry, had less inflammation, and had lower blood pressure. There are a number of studies that support this finding. Lowering carb intake as opposed to lowering fat or protein intake is one of the best things that you can do to achieve weight loss in the short term and in the long term. This is why you cannot just look at total calories. You also need to look at your macros. Now, why is it that a diet that is relatively high in carbs is bad for weight loss? When we eat carbs, those carbs get broken down into sugar. It doesn't matter if it's a piece of candy or a banana. All carbs get broken down into sugar. Now, when sugar enters your bloodstream, your pancreas gets a signal to produce insulin. Insulin is a hormone that many of the cells in your body need in order to use sugar for energy. It's a key that opens the door to the cell, basically. Insulin has another job too, and this is the important part. It tells your body to stop burning fat and to start storing it instead. Essentially, consuming a lot of carbs puts your body in fat storing mode instead of fat burning mode. And as I mentioned earlier, eating lots of carbs also stimulates your appetite. Think about it. Have you ever been sitting in front of the TV and managed to scarf down 5 chicken breasts? Sounds crazy, right? Now, how about 5 cookies? The more carbs you eat, the more you want, because they just don't satiate us. Keeping a diet that is really high in carbs makes it more likely that you will overeat, which is counterproductive for weight loss. Now, there's one more thing that I want to cover on the topic of macros, and that is the thermic effect of food. Basically, your body burns more or less calories depending on what you give it to break down and digest. Processed carbs are easy to break down, so you don't really burn that many calories when you digest them. Protein, on the other hand, has a high thermic effect, meaning that your body has to work harder, i.e. burn more calories, just to digest it. This is part of why high protein diets like the Atkins diet often do lead to rapid weight loss initially. Please do note though that I am not advocating for a ketogenic diet or any very low carb diet. Carbs are not bad, it's just a matter of managing your ratios. Now let's move on to topic number 2, aging. No matter what those face cream and pill companies say, there is truly no way to halt aging. Not yet, at least. A solution to aging would have to be a solution to dying, and in the present day, no such thing exists. As our bodies march towards the grave, our metabolism inevitably slows down too, as all of our systems decline in their efficiency and their ability to self-repair. As everything slows down, you simply burn less calories as you age. You can slow down the decline, but the decline will happen. Because of this, you should aim to eat less as you get older if you hope to maintain a healthy weight. If you have been eating the same breakfast, lunch, and dinner for years, you will gain weight because you need to adjust the portions. At 50, you can't eat what you ate at 20. If you're in your 30s like me, you're likely experiencing this painful decline right now. In high school and in your 20s, you probably ate whatever you wanted and didn't think too much about your weight. To be honest, that was me. I used to love mixing Doritos and popcorn, and I would just down bowls of that night after night and not gain a pound. But at some point, we have to adjust and accept that eating the same way that you did in your 20s when you're in your 30s is just not gonna fly if you're trying to maintain a healthy weight. The USDA Dietary Guidelines provides estimates for how much less you need to eat as you age. This will vary a lot from person to person, but this is just to give you a general idea. Basically, your calorie needs are at their peak when you're in your late teens or early 20s. You need about 200 calories less once you're in your mid-20s. Yes, the decline in your metabolism starts from then. Once you hit your 40s, you need about 400 calories less. A large bagel with cream cheese can easily contain over 400 calories. So just a simple shift in what you have for breakfast can be the difference between keeping your weight stable and gaining weight over time. In the same vein, strategies that may have worked for you to lose weight when you were in your 20s are not going to work when you're in your 50s. You have to keep trying different things to find what works for you at your current metabolic state. Maintaining a healthy weight as you get older can also be difficult because your stamina decreases too. Your activity level is going to be lower, so you will burn even fewer calories when you exercise for this reason too. Exercise affects your metabolic rate and how well your body responds to sugars in your diet, i.e. your insulin sensitivity. Overall, it's important to keep active as you get older in order to keep your metabolism running nicely for as long as possible, but still taper down the amount that you eat over time to adjust for the net decline in your metabolic rate. Now let's move on to the third and final topic, medications that can make weight loss difficult. 50 to 70% of the US population uses at least one prescription drug. That means that you or someone in your household is likely taking a prescription drug. The reality is that some medications can make it harder to lose weight. Please note that I am not recommending that you stop taking a particular medication because it can make weight loss challenging. Like everything else in this video, this is just information. You could of course take this information to your healthcare provider and start a conversation if that's something that you're interested in. All right, enough disclaimers, now on to the list. The following medication classes have been associated with weight gain. Antipsychotics, which may be indicated for conditions like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, for example, clozapine and olanzapine. Antidepressants used to manage depressive symptoms, for example, amitriptyline and nortriptyline. Antihyperglycemics used to control blood sugar, for example, pioglitazone and rosiglitazone. And corticosteroids, which are prescribed for asthma, autoimmune diseases, and other conditions, for example, prednisone and cortisone. All in all, if you're having a hard time losing weight, it might be because you need to look at your macros, adjust your diet and exercise routine as you get older, and have a conversation with your medical provider if you're taking a medication that could lead to weight gain or make weight loss difficult. That's it for this video. Take care.